This is the Seahawkers Podcast, episode 420. I'm Brandon Schultz of the Military Seahawkers, and I am joined by my good buddy and Montana Seahawker, Adam Emmert.
I guess I didn't realize it was a 420 episode. Like, should I have had weed jokes ready to go? Like, am I missing out on this one?
I mean, you probably should have prepared. We probably should have done a whole topic around it, because you and I are known for that sort of thing. So yes. We wouldn't be living up to our brand if we left it out.
Well, I can tell you one thing, Brandon. I am absolutely still on a high from that game against the Browns. That was quite the finish, quite the game, with all the ramifications being in our favor in terms of being first in the division now and all that good stuff. Super cool. Awesome Sunday. There's some bumps along the way, of course, but we'll get to it.
Yeah, well, of course, we're flying high from this past week because not only did our Seahawks get the victory, but back-to-back weeks, every other team in the NFC West loses, and that it's hard not to. I don't want to lose that feeling.
No, I want that to go on forever. This is exactly how the world should work and should continue to work. I'm looking forward to a Niners, Cards, Rams loss this upcoming week as well.
Absolutely. Let's start off with an email. We got an email from John the Bard Davison. Says, well, you started off the last podcast by saying it was a good week, but I think this week is better. I know we're not there yet as a football team, but we're starting to get into a groove. First of all, we won. Admittedly, it was squeaky, and we're not yet destroying teams, but our confidence must be getting higher with each game, and we believe we can win and continue to get better. Secondly, we won and went to the top of the division, which must stick in 49ers' throats, which makes me feel good. Thirdly, we got Leonard Williams, which makes a vastly improving defense even better. So why are we still not getting any media credit? Just about to send this feeling all is well with the world, and I learned San Fran traded for Young. Just took some of my good mood away, but get on with it. Go Hawks, from John.
Go Hawks, John. Yeah, a lot in there. We are a team that is still figuring it out. They're not perfect at this point in the season or anything like that, for sure. I did notice that some of the national media was begrudgingly accepting the fact that the Niners are no longer first in the division and that they were required to talk Seahawks. So that was fun. Pat McAfee did a little thing about, like, why in the world do we not talk about the Seahawks? And yeah, basically it was, well, they're in Southeast Alaska. So there's that.
Yeah. And really it was AJ Hawk's fault.
Well, of course, it's always AJ Hawk's fault. I mean, it just look at that long face.
Can't really blame McAfee.
Yeah. Oh no, you can't blame the, sleeveless guns there. That's for sure. But yeah, big week for the Hawks. It was a huge win in the Leonard Williams trade, which we'll touch on here in a bit. Also a big one, but the stupid Niners couldn't even let us have the spotlight for like one catfish day, not just one. They had to go out and trade for Chase. That was pretty annoying. That's for sure.
Yeah. So they go out and they get Chase Young. And I think this is what bothered people, was the disparity in the compensation between the two things. You had the Niners getting Chase Young for a 3rd round pick, and that was it. And you had the Seahawks getting Leonard Williams, but then giving up a 2nd round pick and a 5th round pick in 2025. So a little bit different situation, though, I think. In terms of salary, I think maybe Washington maybe still pay. I just can't imagine that the 49ers have enough cap space to also pay Young, but I know that was part of the talk about getting Leonard Williams was, the Seahawks had to give up a little bit more because they're paying his contract. I think it also has to do with the fact that Leonard Williams tends to stay healthy during seasons. Chase Young had his one rookie season where he played 15 games, and then it's been, 3 games, 6 games. It was less than half the season. The 49ers are somehow fascinated with acquiring players with a ton of injury history, and that's what they did with Young. And I think it has less to do with the compensation in terms of their salary and more to do with just the Niners probably giving them the best offer that Washington had seen, and I think the injury history probably played into it quite a bit with Young.
Oh, without question. It has to, right? And I don't know that the Niners needed to have much cap space to bring Young in. He's still on his rookie deal.
Yeah.
Like he's going to be looking for his first extension, right? So it becomes a question of, do you want to spend capital on a younger, very talented dude who can't seem to stay on the field and had a catastrophic knee injury not but 2 seasons ago? Or would you rather pay a smidgen more and have a guy that you're going to be paying now his third contract to and give up a little bit of extra draft capital? People act like the difference between a second and a third is like the Grand Canyon apart. Like it, depending on where you pick in those rounds too, with those picks makes a big difference as well. Like I don't see that as a massive divide there. Plus the Seahawks have the extra third rounder from the last Denver deal. And then the fifth rounder's in 25. So like, I don't know. I don't think that the compensation was grossly different. And then also you brought it up a couple times, as you were saying there, Brandon, the Giants paying like the vast majority of his salary this year. The Giants basically bought themselves up a round by doing that. That's what they did. They bought a draft pick.
Yeah. And you're right about Chase Young being on his rookie deal. The salary, most of that is paid up front when they're drafted. And so the amount of salary that they get throughout their rookie deal is not that much. So yeah, it makes a ton of sense for the Niners not having a ton of cap space. Would you, with all that said, if you were the GM and you had both those offers on the table, knowing the Seahawks, would you take Chase Young over Leonard Williams?
I would take Leonard Williams and then I would take Chase Young.
You just want both. You want both deals.
Why not?
That's a good
why
point.
Not? You have the extra third round
why
pick.
not is then you're giving up a second round pick and a third round pick and then a fifth round pick. It's like some of those draft picks you want to keep.
You have an extra third rounder next year.
True.
So you basically all you're going to be short next year is still a 2. You can still trade back in round 1, recoup a second. Like I just, why not? Why not go and get them all? Collect them all.
Has Washington played San Francisco yet? I was just wondering if that factored into it, that now the Commanders are facing Seattle here in a couple weeks and they wouldn't want to essentially make the same deal with Seattle.
Maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe the new regime here isn't as tight with the Seattle regime as maybe
that's
in
a good
years
point, because
past.
Shanahan worked for Washington.
That's exactly right. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a connection there.
And maybe if you're John Schneider after the Dunbar trade, you don't really have a great taste in your mouth about going out and trading for a, can't miss type of guy, right? That was a bummer the way that worked out with Dunbar.
Yeah, a lot of people probably have forgotten about Quentin Dunbar and how he was going to be a great corner, because it just seems to always work out that we make trades for corners and they end up being good. But yeah, that was one that did not work out. I do like the idea of Leonard Williams working out for this team, though. And just, considering his history of success and considering he has played with so many players who are already on the team, he has the history with Jamal Adams. He has history with Julian Love, even going back to history with Uchenna Nwosu. So you have enough points to know that, hey, is this a good dude or not a good dude? And plus all of his history of performing well. I like the idea of adding another run stuffer up the middle. I feel like on the edges, maybe we could have done something else, but they didn't.
I feel like we're okay on the edge. I'm not freaking out, with the Frank Clark signing. Like, again, I don't think he's a superstar at this point in his career or a game wrecker, but a serviceable, usable player.
How dare you talk bad about Frank Clark, saying that he's an okay player?
Yeah, after being in the league for a long time and having a lot of wear and tear in his body, being an okay player at this point in your career for somebody like Frank Clark is really good. That's a good thing. That's not an insult. It's not. People seem to take it that way still somehow. I don't understand, but that's okay. But with that said, I didn't really see the need on the edge, but interior wise, I think this points to the fact that they're a little worried about overusing Reed throughout the season. And really one of the biggest things to me about this trade, Brandon, that I really like, this is doubling down on the Draymond signing. You spend all that money, the biggest free agent that you've ever brought in, and now you bring in Leonard Williams to come and be his running mate to go ahead and create that pressure up the middle with Jared Reed. Holy smokes. Now you're maximizing what you're going to get out of Draymond by giving him extra dudes around him. Like I love that part of this deal.
Well, and that's one of the interesting things about this too, is that you have Mario Edwards, who can play defensive end, and he's only signed to a 1-year deal. You have Draymond Jones, who actually, even though you signed him to a 3-year deal, they do have an out after 1 year. So if he doesn't perform up to expectations, you could find a way to reduce your cap hit next year. And then that way, if you want to, I think Reed is on a 2-year deal. But say you want to bring back Leonard Williams and re-sign Mario Edwards, you have some flexibility there if you do end up moving on from Draymond, or if he's able to take a little bit of a pay cut based on performance. There's a lot of options in the offseason that the Seahawks have now to try and keep a good rotation of interior guys.
Yeah, and those guys don't grow on trees. Now, the things that concern me are, depending on who you listen to, either Leonard Williams is a beast, and he's been a beast since he's been in the league, and been a beast every game up until the last one he played with the Giants, and he's a hell of a player, or you hear, he's a player in decline, he hasn't been the same in 2 years. So I don't know which is true. I genuinely don't. But 29 going on 30, which I guess is how it always works when you go from 29 to 30. But with that said,
it's better than 29 going on 39.
That's true. I don't love the idea of third contracts, and I kind of hate fourth contracts when it comes to players. That's when you start to pay for past performance a little bit more than future performance. And so that makes me a little nervous. But then again, he could be a Calais Campbell type who plays really well until he's 37 or however old it was Campbell went to, and he's only 29 at the moment. So we'll see what they decide to do. I don't know. Do you have a sense whether or not this is a just half season rental, or do you think that they're going to be trying to re-sign him here fairly quickly?
I would lean toward them waiting to see how the season goes before they try and make any kind of a deal, just because he is coming from outside. There's other guys who I'd rather see them take care of before giving a new contract to Leonard Williams. Jordan Brooks, with the way he's come back and performed this year, that's a guy that I feel like you probably want to go ahead and make that deal before you make any others. That's the one name, I guess, that jumps out.
I'm totally with you there with Jordan. Like, he's a guy that I definitely want to see them re-up sooner rather than later. No doubt about it. He's been a revelation. And that's a second contract, not a third or a fourth contract there. There's certain guys, though, that they can earn those big bucks and those late contracts. Like, we didn't pay Bobby the year before he left to go wherever he went. And he still obviously has a lot in the tank and was worth another contract or two. So we'll see how this ends up with Leonard Williams. This is definitely a go for it move, and I do really like it. And Brandon, I really want to thank the Giants for paying Daniel Jones $40 million a year so that they couldn't afford Leonard Williams. And I want to commend John Schneider for getting Geno Smith at $25 million a year, right, so that we can afford somebody like Leonard Williams. That's a big deal. With people ragging on Geno after this last game, remember that. Remember where his salary is as well.
And also remember that he's a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. I feel like that would be an undeniable fact.
Yes. So overall, I'm pleased with the deal. I like the idea that the Seahawks think that they're in this. And I mean, being number 2 in the NFC right now and first in your division, why not shake it up and do a little bit to go for it? A second isn't a crazy amount. That's not a crazy amount of draft capital. And people act like they gave up, half of next year's draft or pulled a Ditka Ricky Williams situation. And it's like, dudes, it's just 1 second round pick. Everybody cool their jets. You have an 80% chance that this guy's going to be a good player for you for the next 2 to 3 years. That's high odds.
I think the problem is that people got used to the idea that we have Denver draft picks early on in the second round. And now that those are gone, they don't realize that now we'll be picking in the position that the Seahawks finish in terms of their playoff run. And so they're not thinking of it as a number 64 overall pick. They're thinking of it as a top of the second round pick.
Yeah, there's a high likelihood, right, that Seahawks pick is somewhere between 55 and 64, right? And that Denver 3rd round pick that we've got, I mean, shoot, what's that going to be? Yeah, that's probably going to be like, what, 67, 68?
Well, it still hasn't worked out to whether or not, I think it depends on the end of the season record, whether it's the Broncos or the Saints. It's whatever team finishes worst is the one we have.
It sounds like a great proposition. Neither team is any good.
Neither team is good.
I like
so it'll probably be toward the top of the 3rd, which makes this pick relatively expendable.
That's the way I see it.
They were going to use it to pick a running back anyway.
That's exactly right. Then we would have had 3 awesome backs instead of just 2. And I probably would have gotten really mad and yelled about draft value or yada, 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 because, everybody, all those people, where are those people that were so mad at the Charbonnet pick right now this week after Sharps just had himself a very nice second half this last week? Where are they? I want to know. Where are you guys? Are you around? You still hate the pick? Do you? Are you still think it's bad value? Was it bad value? Come on.
I mean, maybe they're still out there. I don't know if you're going to convince people that 5 carries for 53 yards in the second half is going to win them over in terms of draft value guy.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know what you don't want to do, Brandon, is with your 2nd round pick is pick a good football player. Don't want to do that. That's terrible value. Terrible value, especially one that's useful. I don't get it.
Yeah. Ask Lion fans if they think Jahmyr Gibbs is a bad value now that he's been on a tear the last couple of weeks.
No kidding. So yeah, that was a funny joke by you. You're right. They would have just drafted another back and pissed off half the analytics people.
It's not a joke by me. I feel like that one was told multiple times all around social media in our own Discord. I'm sure I borrowed that from somebody.
Oh, okay. First time I'd heard it, so I was giving it all to you.
Can we borrow somebody who's good at screens or good at defending screens? Because, we do have somebody who's good at screens now that Jackson Smith and Jigba scored the game-winning touchdown.
Charbonnet in the backfield. Geno from the shotgun. Lockett wide to the far side. JSN. He gets the throw near side. Turns outfield. Got a blocker. Touchdown! Seahawks! No flags. DK Metcalf with a great block. Jackson Smith and Jigba turns upfield and takes it in the front corner of the end zone. What a drive by the Hawks. Thank you, Julian Love, for the pick. And Seattle goes back on top, 23-20.
Great move upfield by JSN. As Rabel said, great block by DK. And do you know why it was such a great block, Adam?
Because the hold didn't get called?
He blocked well enough for it not to get called.
There you go. There you go. He held well enough to not get called for it. He did a great job.
That's what you're asking from your offensive lineman on every play.
Absolutely. I'm not mad at DK. I'm not at all. And I'm happy the refs decided to give us the best makeup call of all makeup calls.
We even had refs out there explaining why it was within the guidelines of normal not holding. So I feel good about it. Yeah.
Okay. Because that's a catfish and hold, dude. All day. All day. If that had been the other way around, I'd have been furious.
Yeah. Well, I think the Browns player getting held was kind of upset that he couldn't make the tackle.
You just said he got held. I thought he was just blocked.
He was blocked very well. You said he was held.
He was held. But JSN on a screen, he had another great screen earlier in the game. We got a little bit out of him this particular game. He's starting to kind of come on the scene and emerge a little bit. That's pretty cool. And what a big moment for Geno to drive the team down there and to add to his stat, right? The game tying or winning in the last 2 minutes of the game drives or whatever.
Fourth quarter comeback.
Yeah, we just call it the stat. So that was awesome to see. Brandon, after watching your quarterback go out and win the game in the fourth quarter, are you ready for the host? Do we need to get rid of Geno for a bad quarter and a half of football?
Why would I even consider that as a question?
I don't know. It seems like lots of people do. So I thought it was something worth discussing.
No, I don't think it's worth discussing at all because it's that sounds like nonsense.
That's because it is. Yeah, you're right. It is nonsense.
Why did you bring it up then?
Because I hear nonsense, and sometimes I just feel like it needs to be, brought out into the light. The best disinfectant is sunshine, right?
Yeah. Okay.
talk about it. Yeah.
I mean, it's the same kind of nonsense, like whether or not DK Metcalf is a good receiver or not.
No. Yeah. He's a bad receiver. He's a malcontent. He gets a game-changing penalty every single game, every single one. It hasn't been like 4 or 5 times. It's been every game he's been in the league. And
instead he made 2 huge blocks in addition to a key 4th down catch in the game. I think he had a nice 3rd down catch too. He had a lot of targets, which we can get into that more just because I did dig into it a little bit. But yeah, the 2 blocks on that touchdown drive, the one leading for Fant along the right sideline, and then the game-winning one. The dude, even when he's not catching passes, he's impacting the team. So, Jake Bobo's a good blocker too. He's also a good guy to have at running in touchdowns because you had both Jake Bobo and JSN getting touchdowns in back-to-back weeks. But a solid game from DK again.
Solid game from DK. And he all did it while pulling a Jordan, right? He might not have caught a lot of passes, but he caught the flu right before the game. We know that, and played through that, and the ribs and the hip. It was still a key contributor to the team. Get rid of that bum.
I had to wonder, though, if it was a DK Geno issue in this game, whether it was a Shane Waldron issue. Because 14 targets, when I looked at that stat after the game, 14 targets and only 5 receptions, it seemed so far off that I wanted to know what was going on there. And after going back and looking at it, it just seems like it was either a Shane Waldron game plan mismatch thing that they saw with the Browns, because it was clear after the game, and it was even clear going back and watching it again. It was Geno Smith drop back, whether it was 3 steps, whether it was 5 steps, drop back, go to the open guy. And if it wasn't there, just it generally was there. They would drop back and throw and make the read and go to the guy that was supposed to get the ball.
Yeah. He was definitely a first read passer throughout much of the game out of necessity. And that's a bit Waldron. That's a bit Geno for sure. It's a lot of bit offensive line with, again, another patchwork of dudes up there. That's why you end up doing that, because those guys are doing the best they can. They're doing a hell of a job. As Pete said, hats off to the tackles in that game. Jason Peters taking on Myles Garrett throughout the end of the game on that last drive. That's pretty cool. But with all that said, sure. Yeah, there were many times where Geno hits the back foot and it's designed to go to DK, or it's designed to go to DK if Geno sees that it's going to be one-on-one at the jump.
Right.
And the second he sees it, he's like, yep, go in there. Why? Get the ball in your head. You'd rather take your chances on 14 targets than take your chances holding the ball for 14 seconds and taking 14 sacks. So I think that's the mentality there. And I think that's why it did seem as if the ball was being forced to DK oftentimes.
Right, because a one-on-one throw with DK, you're more than likely it's going to get broken up because DK is going to fight through it, or he's going to catch the ball because that's what he does. And it turned out on one of those, the guy jumped in front of it.
Yep, and it sounded like that particular throw, I thought I heard that Geno thought it was a free play as well on that play because the guy had lined offside so far. Is that incorrect?
There were people who were thinking that, but if you go back and you watch the play, I think it was Garrett actually who had his hand over, and there was a screenshot that went out all over social media of the dude over the line. If you watch the video, the dude jumps back over the side of the line before the ball is snapped.
After the ball was snapped? Did you say before? Because the correct word was after.
No, it was before the ball was snapped, or he was at least moving backward.
It was simultaneous, dude.
Yeah, at the very least, it was simultaneous of him moving backward as the snap was going, which I would think as a ref, if you're borderline, the dude's trying to get back, so maybe you don't call it. Anyway, Geno said after the game that he didn't think he had a free play. He said, I didn't see a flag. I didn't think I had a free play.
All right. Well, then, just a bad read and a bad throw. Great play by the corner. That one's on Geno. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, you put that one on him. Maybe DK doesn't come back to the ball quite as much on his route once he breaks it off towards the sideline. Instead of coming downhill a little bit, he ended up just going straight to the sideline. Okay, fine. But yeah, that one's on Geno. But that second pick, that's not on Geno. That's just bad luck and a great play by a D lineman. Like that's just every now and then you're just going to get got. That was one of them.
Yeah, great defensive call to have Maurice Hurst drop back into coverage from his interior D-line position. So many times you see that guys dropping back defenders into coverage and then they're just taken out of the play. But he just happened to be dropping back right into that zone where Geno had his hot read to Noah Fant, and he makes a crazy play and gets it. So, yeah, between that, I guess the other bad throw, if we're talking about all the bad Geno throws, and yeah, I don't think he had the zip that he necessarily usually does on that throw to DK to the outside, and it could have been outside a little bit more. You had the one to the end zone right before the game-winning touchdown, and that was kind of thrown as a 50-50 ball up to DK as Geno rolled out. And then the throw, which maybe wasn't a bad throw because JSN stopped, and it was more his fault than Geno's fault.
Yeah, that one was all JSN. Everybody agrees from the team that's where the blame lies on that one. But it's interesting how many people will look at that and just be like, oh, he can't be trusted. He's just throwing the ball, willy-nilly all over the place and yada, yada, yada. Look, you want to be frustrated that the offense struggled for about a quarter and a half in this game, 2 quarters, however you want to look at it. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Why the hell did they stop running the football? Like, I mean, we didn't talk much about K9 and Charbonnet so far today, man. They had a combined whale of a game.
Yeah, because 13 carries, but 120 or 119 yards. That's over 9 yards per carry against a really good defense. And yeah, I think that they were probably challenging the Seahawks to pass more than they were. I think they were geared up to stop the run, but they were running the ball effectively when they were doing it. So I don't know why they necessarily got away from it.
Yeah, man. Even if you ran into a couple of those heavier fronts and still had that kind of success, wouldn't you be more emboldened at that point? Be like, man, they threw the kitchen sink at that one and he's still broken off for 8 yards. Like, yeah, keep pounding the rock. I think they learned their lesson though after that. That was something that between the 14 targets to DK and the lack of touches that the backs got throughout the game, I think those are 2 things that Pete really harped on in all of his post-game interviews and pressers.
Yeah. And shoot, I think they could have gone more toward Tyler Lockett. That dude tore it up in the first half, finished with 8 receptions, 81 yards. I think that was maybe with only 1 catch in the second half. He had the touchdown from Geno Smith, which was an amazing play.
Charbonnet in the backfield. Geno takes a shotgun snap, steps up in the pocket, spins out of trouble. Now he's looking. Now he's going to throw the back corner. It's Tyler Lockett. He's got it. Touchdown, Seahawks. Tyler Lockett, are you kidding me? He's having a career on Throwback Sunday, a 12-yard touchdown catch. Give credit to Geno Smith, who got himself out of trouble, kept his eyes downfield. His main guy, Lockett, finds him. Another 6 on the board. It's Seattle 13-0.
There weren't many plays where Geno escaped the pocket and did something because he was so good at dropping back, making the one read, and delivering the football. But that play, getting outside the pocket, getting it to Tyler.
Absolutely. That was an amazing play. He stepped through the D lineman's hands there and kind of did a little hop step,
360 spin,
get out of there. Yeah. It was impressive. And then I'm convinced that Tyler Lockett is part Vulcan. Like, I think he has a mind meld with every quarterback that he plays with. Is there anybody in the game who is better at scramble drill, like reading the quarterback and having a feel of where he's going to want to go and where the defenders are? And like, not only that, but then the quarterback always seems to know too. Like they look up and they're like, oh yeah, there's Tyler. They just check it to whether it's been Russ or Geno or whoever, right? Like Tyler's just amazing at it. And I think he does have like some sort of, psychic ability with his quarterback to project himself to where he's going to be.
Tyler Lockett, secret psychic. I like it.
Magic.
This is good off-season when we start doing our fan fiction.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah. Like, and he's real too. This isn't like a Miss Cleo situation, like he's a legit.
No, but I mean, in the
QB
offseason, like he can start solving mysteries that require psychic abilities.
I like it.
Yeah.
We're going to have fun with that. Let's see if we'll remember it.
We probably won't. I barely even remember the Jamal Adams header play for the interception.
3rd down and 3. Walker from the shotgun. Slots to both sides. Ford in the backfield. Walker's going to throw. Ball tipped up in the air. Ball is intercepted by Love. Love gets it just inside the 45-yard line. The Seahawks defense does it again. They do what they have to do. They tip the ball up. Jamal with the tip. Love with the pick. The Seahawks now in great field position. And we have reached the 2-minute warning. 1:57 to play in the game.
And how could you forget that play? That was what set up the game-winning drive for the score. And it's something that you never see. A guy heading the football on purpose because he couldn't get his arm up because his arm is pinned between the lineman who is blocking him and trying to take him out of the play as he's leaping into the air.
That was a wild series of events. It was awesome. And it was really cool the way that set up the offense to go down the field there and win the football game. But I am absolutely perplexed and you just said it too yourself. You never see that. We never see a football bounce off somebody's dome and get intercepted. That's so rare. Really? Are we sure?
It's rare when it's intentional, because he jumped up and he saw the ball coming and he did this with his head. He had a little head movement there.
Maybe. Okay. Yeah. That's fine. Maybe it is.
You see
maybe it was
footballs bounce off of helmets. Shoot. We saw a football bounce off of the helmet of the dude trying to throw it to DK in the end zone, and that one fell incomplete. But this one, it looked intentional, and that's what was different to me.
Okay, because in real time, dude, that felt like a happy mistake. That he just happened to jump up right there, understanding he wasn't going to get to the quarterback, that part being intentional. But the idea that he used his noggin intentionally, maybe he really, really did. I don't know. But again, that felt more like a happy mistake to me. But yeah, it was interesting listening to everybody just acting like that was the most, unusual play that's ever happened in the history of football.
He said he was channeling Messi or one of the other soccer players that's a popular.
Cool. Yeah. Good for all those guys. Yeah.
Don't poo-poo this. Why you can poo-poo things. Don't poo-poo this because this is fun.
It is fun. I'm excited about the idea that it was an interception. The offense got the ball back. We wouldn't won the game. And that Jamal definitely had the presence of mind to get up and try to knock the ball down. I don't know. It just didn't seem that unusual to me. Maybe it was. Maybe I'm the one who's wrong here.
I think you might be.
That's fine. I'll eat that one.
I think the Cleveland Browns are upset because they actually threw in that situation. Cleveland Browns fans in particular.
Yeah. At that point, as a Seahawks fan, the last thing in the world you wanted them to do was to just put the ball in the belly of Kareem Hunt again and watch him jelly it right down the middle of the field.
Yeah, I was good with taking my chances with PJ Walker, especially when in the fourth quarter you saw them doing a lot more read option and that sort of thing that they hadn't done a whole lot up to that point. So, yeah, between Walker running, they had a clear plan with PJ Walker. It was hand the ball off to Jerome Ford, hand the ball off to Kareem Hunt, keep it himself or throw screens.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I thought about a little bit when I went back and watched it was, as a fan base, we were all disappointed with the offense after that game for the most part because of that big lull throughout the game there. But we're not disappointed with the defense for their lull there. You get up 17-7 and all they can do is run it and screen it and you can't stop it. With PJ Walker, at some point you got to be like, man, that wasn't stellar there for a couple quarters. They came up big when they needed to. And again, we haven't seen a full complete game out of this team yet, but I do think some of the blame does need to be placed there as well. After you go up 17-7 as an offense, like, you shouldn't end up down going into the fourth quarter.
I don't know if I'm really finding ways to be disappointed in this game. The Seahawks beat the number one defense in the NFL, and Geno Smith had a comeback win. I have a hard time being upset with that. The defense made a play when they needed to make a play, and then the offense drove down and won the game. Like, that's a fine win to me.
Oh, I'm elated. I think that's a win that sets you up in the future to know how to win those difficult games when things don't go quite your way, or when you're getting just owned in one aspect of the game, and to be able to fight through. I think this is a huge learning experience for a young football team. I think it's massive, but I think what I was kind of getting at was more the idea that we haven't seen them put it all together yet in a complete game. And so you're looking at a couple quarters and being like, man, why does this team stink offensively for this bit of time? Or how in the world do we get jellied on screens for 175,000 yards or whatever it was? Those things can be frustrating too, and still be fired up for the win.
Yeah. Well, the way that the Browns created their points was through turnovers or through officiating calls, like has happened in the last couple of games. And we even talked about it coming into this game, that they get these weird calls every once in a while and they're able to capitalize on them. And they did that again in this game.
Man, that second touchdown they scored where the Hawks had him stopped on 3rd and 2. They throw at Cooper, or they try to throw it to Cooper at Reek. Reek has perfect textbook, beautiful football coverage, and they throw the flag on him and they convert. Then march it the rest of the way down the field and score. Oh, and then Mario Edwards gets called for the roughing the passer call when he comes to the line, doesn't hit him late, doesn't hit him high, doesn't hit him low, doesn't come down with his body on him. Like, I don't know, does perfect defensive line things and then still gets a flag thrown on it to move it to the 1.
Yeah,
man, that was a frustrating drive. Yeah, you're right. Let's be more mad at the refs.
And 2 calls where there was illegal hands to the face when it was just right below their face mask at their neck area.
Yeah.
Yeah. How dare these guys not have perfect technique to press right to the chest and not have their hands slip up toward the neck?
I have seen some offensive linemen here the last couple of years. Like, if you do get your hands up even close, they'll start snapping their head back.
Yeah.
As they're blocking, just to try to pull the flag. It's like a head flop.
Mm-hmm.
It's smart football, don't get me wrong, but those were some bullshit calls, man. And I would have been way more upset about them if we hadn't gotten the one at the end of the game. That did kind of seem to negate it all out. And at that point, then I guess I can go home happy. But just not a great officiated game all the way around.
But I guess when you look at some of the other officiated games throughout the NFL, it was one of the more okay ones.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks have been rough.
We've seen some really bad ones.
Yeah. They should put me out there. I'm sure I do a way better job.
You do better.
Because I know, especially not knowing all the rules exactly perfectly. I do great.
I know we come on and complain about calls for rules that haven't been rules for years now, and
right. Well,
that's fine.
I mean, how dare they expect us to adjust like that? I mean, we had a lifetime of football one way.
Yeah. We're still calling the Raiders.
I'm still a learner.
Yeah, we're still calling the Raiders the LA Raiders. We'll get around to them calling them the Oakland Raiders here one of these days, and then the Vegas ones. It's a progression.
I think I caught up on Vegas Raiders. I think I've been doing better with that one.
Good.
The Chargers has been the hardest one for me to kick by a lot.
Yeah, still San Diego.
Yeah. Golly, yeah.
Hopefully, we won't be calling the Ravens the Indianapolis Colts when we face them, because they moved. Well, that was even before we were born, right? That they moved from Indianapolis to Baltimore. So we shouldn't have that problem at all.
No, maybe, hopefully not. When did they move?
Was it in our lifetime?
80s or 90s? Because the Ravens are quote unquote a newish team, right? Like late 90s. Isn't that when they?
That's what it was. It was, the Cleveland Browns went to Baltimore in our lifetime. It was the Baltimore Colts that were the Indianapolis Colts. I screwed up that whole part. Forget I said anything.
Hey, well, we all worked through it, and that's good. But honestly, there's something that came out of all that nonsense, Brandon, that I think makes a lot of sense.
It would have been a much better transition to refer to the Cleveland Browns as the Baltimore Ravens, but I whiffed on that.
Sure. Hey, look, sometimes you just get locked onto a first read. You can't get off of it. I get it. You're still a good podcast host. I think you're top 10, top 15. I don't know. Top 2.
Sure.
But yeah, You're great. Don't worry about it. I don't want to trade you. But one thing, though, since you bring all that up, doesn't it feel like the Ravens are the same team as the Browns, only better offensively?
Yeah, like with a quarterback and maybe even a better running back with Gus Edwards. Watching Gus Edwards run, dude runs over guys. So it's more like the Nick Chubb Browns, where he's able to just bowl through the line. And between Lamar Jackson, Gus Edwards at running back, they got some nice weapons at receiver. The defense probably isn't as strong as the Browns, but it's still a strong defense.
That defensive line is really good, especially in the drop back passing game and getting pressure. They're real good at that. I believe they're number 1 in the league, Brandon, at rushing attempts as an offense. Like, buckle up your chin strap this week, boys and girls. This is going to be a slobber knocker, and Leonard Williams couldn't get here fast enough. Like, thank God.
Definitely a good move to make when you got Gus Edwards, when you got Justice Hill, you got Lamar running the football. Although we didn't see Lamar run it a ton against Arizona, but I think part of that was looking back at the Ravens game against the Cardinals. I felt like they treated that game offensively like a scrimmage. They didn't do anything fancy like they did in the game against the Lions. And the Lions, they were running all kinds of different packages. They were doing zone reads with Lamar Jackson. They were mixing it up between Edwards and Hill. They did so much more things creatively against the Lions. And then even looking at the body language of watching Lamar against the Cardinals, I felt like he got the ball and he kind of stood flat-footed, like, okay, well, I don't really have to try here. And then he'd throw off his back foot, or, he'd maybe take a couple of steps and throw the ball. It was like they took the Cardinals on as a scrimmage game.
Look, that's one of the things that I've felt about Baltimore for a very long time under Harbaugh here, is that they tend to play up and down to their competition. Like, they play to the level of their competition very often, because they have lots of shocking losses every year. When I say lots, like 2 or 3, right? Yeah. Where you're just like, really? That team? With the way that you just beat up on so-and-so the week before or whatever it was? I feel like you get that a lot. Now, they're on a 3-game winning streak. They mollywomped the Lions. They took them to the woodshed. We squeaked it out against the Lions. And then we both had similar outings against the Cardinals. Although, to your point, Brandon, it did feel like it was a little lackadaisical for the Ravens in that game.
Not so much on defense, though, because watching Kyle Hamilton, their strong safety, fly all over the field against the Cardinals, that's a dude that you're worried about. Patrick Queen, really good linebacker. Owe, a really nice pass rusher. Gosh, they got Clowney on their team. I didn't really notice him as much as I did, like Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen running all over the place. But Michael Pierce, oh my gosh, that dude at nose tackle, that guy jumps off the screen.
Yeah, that dude's legit. That's quite the linebacker tandem. It's a real shame that it's going to be the second best linebacker tandem on the field. I don't know how many people remember the Queen Brooks debate when that draft went down. And I would still argue to this day that Jordan Brooks is the better player there. So maybe a little Jordan Brooks revenge game. How about the JSN revenge game? This is going to be the JSN revenge breakout game to show that he is truly the best receiver from that rookie class, not Zay Flowers.
He was the one who was taken first, so don't we have to worry about more of a Zay Flowers revenge game for
everybody's
the Seahawks?
Been giving Flowers as Flowers. Like,
I know, but he's going to have revenge against the Seahawks by saying, hey, you didn't take me as the first overall receiver. You took JSN.
But JSN is going to have revenge on him because all the media, all they do is talk about Zay Flowers, and JSN hasn't, gotten much love amongst the media other than what's wrong with JSN.
And then we can have number 5 overall pick shut down their top pick, and Witherspoon takes away Flowers as Flowers.
That's exactly right. He'll be flowerless, and that will be better for our deal. Look, their passing game, while they don't do it a lot, is still quite potent. Mark Andrews is still damn good. Lamar's a good passer. last time I remember seeing Lamar as a Seahawks fan against the Seahawks, he was running roughshod all over us. It was a nightmare. I don't feel, to be honest, dude, I don't feel good about this game at all. I really don't.
Well, that's good.
On the road.
I can play you some evidence from our good buddy Dave Bloomquist, who can maybe make you feel a little bit better about this game.
Hello, Brandon. Hello, Adam. It's Hawk Van Dyke calling from London, England. All right, enough pissing off John Davison. So what a great week this was. We had our throwbacks. We had the huge last-minute win. All of our divisional opponents lost. Just a great Monday morning to be a Seahawks fan. And this week, Adam, Brandon, if you'll remember, the rested team theory that I keep talking about, well, this is the key game this week. The Ravens, since week 4, were at Cleveland, then at Pittsburgh. Then they flew to London to play Tennessee. Then with no bye, they flew home and played Detroit. Then they flew to Arizona, and now they flew back to Baltimore for the game with us. And the Seahawks, on the other hand, played 2 straight home games. They've already had their bye. In a really good mood over everything that's happened and being in first place. Got some new players. So hopefully the rested team theory is going to produce another huge win. We'll stay on top of our division, and we'll look for another great Monday morning. So just one more thing to say from England. Go Hawks!
Now, I don't like that Bloomy said hopefully the rested game theory pays off. I feel like I need him to be more definitive to make you feel better.
Well, just listen to, how much stock I put into the extra days and that sort of thing. Like, I mean, just strap it up and go play. Like, come on. But doesn't it kind of fall apart when you think about, what do you say? They were on the road to Cleveland, then they went to London, then flew back without a bye week, and then they played the Lions at home. What happened then?
Yeah, they crushed the Lions.
They crushed the Lions on less rest, flying back from another continent. So doesn't it all kind of fall apart right there?
It seems like that would be a good time to at least have a close game. I don't know what the Lions were dealing with in terms of their rest going into that game, but I do know that Dave and I talked about the Rams and the 49ers, and now we've seen both those teams lose to other teams coming off their byes. And so the Rams lost to Pittsburgh and Dallas after byes, and then the Niners lost to Cincy and Cleveland after byes.
Okay. Well, maybe there's something to that there as well. A lot of hard telling, not knowing. But hey, is Bloomy the only one that's allowed to call in and leave a message that we'd play on the show?
Maybe. We don't get a whole lot of calls from other listeners. So yeah, you can leave us a voicemail at 253-235-9041. I still remember the number, even though people don't use it. I know. And you could do what Bloomy does and just send an audio file to gohawks@seahawkerspodcast.com, and I will play it on the show.
Right.
It has
because
to be
it's
good.
Awesome. I love hearing that. Well, everyone that Bloomy sends is good. Like, I still enjoyed that, even though I shot down his extra rest theory.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it, though. Like, he puts a lot of thought and time into that, no doubt.
So we have the potential for Jadeveon Clowney revenge game. I don't know if we have any actual revenge elsewhere on that roster. Oh, Tyler Ott. We got Tyler Ott as their long snapper.
What? Oh my gosh. How did they manage to sneak away Tyler Ott from us?
I know. That's disappointing.
Is he still 69?
Yeah.
They're in. I like it.
Still rocking number 69. One thing I did want to mention with regard to special teams, I think it kind of, we've been pretty hard on Jason Myers to this point, and I even hesitate to bring this up because I don't want to jinx it. But Justin Tucker and Jason Myers have missed the same number of kicks this year.
There you go. It has not been Tucker's best year to this point, but I mean, he's an all-time great kicker. I'm sure he's got it figured out by this point. Yeah. But Myers has been putting it together here after those first couple games where he struggled. He seems to be back on track, and that's good to see. And holy smokes, Dixon was murdering the ball last week, which really did help with the offense struggling as much as they did, going 3 and out. What was it? 6-7 times in a row there. It felt like.
Right.
And Dixon just boomed them.
He was booming them. So could be another week where we need some good special teams play, and could see I do want to see if we can test this Baltimore Ravens interior of their defensive line, because as good as and as big as Michael Pierce is at nose tackle, I've seen teams run the ball pretty effectively on this Baltimore Ravens team. And so I think the combination of K9 and Charbonnet could do pretty well against this group.
I really do too. That's where I think the advantage is for the Seahawks. And unlike what the Ravens did last week, where they ended the Josh Dobbs era in Arizona, they're not ending the Geno era in Seattle this week. Like, I think Geno's going to have an efficient, smart game, and we'll be coming back and saying, wow, look at that. He didn't even have, 2 weird turnovers or whatever it is, right? That people are complaining about. And it's going to be because they run the holy crap out of the football and take a lot of the pressure off. Geno was under pressure 44% of the time. 44% of the time last week.
And that's even considering that he was doing 3-step drops and throw the football.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could not believe that pressure rate was so high with how quickly he was getting rid of the football. So it goes to show you that's exactly what he needed to do. I don't think they're going to have to implement that same type of game plan against the Ravens.
I would hope not. I think Geno's going to have a little bit more time. I expect to see more Jason Peters. Not because Stone did anything wrong, like Pete said in his presser, but just because, Jason Peters is that kind of guy. I mean, you saw him go toe to toe with Myles Garrett on the final drive and just lock him down at 75 years old. That's impressive.
It's impressive for an old man.
Yeah. I can't do that. We're about the same age.
You're not quite the same weight, though.
No. Even if you put 2 of me together and gave me the talent, I don't think I could do what Jason Peters did there. That was impressive.
A very impressive game by Peters. Glad we have him out there in the mix, and glad that we got as good of a game out of Stone as we did with him filling in there too. And that's going to be, the way that they've been able to make it work with this offensive line has been impressive, and we're going to keep needing to see it. We're going to need to see more from Charles Cross, who it was effective against Myles Garrett too. So just giving up the 1 sack on the day, and that was one where I think Geno held the ball a little bit long. But if you would have told me, 1 sack out of the day by Garrett, I would have been a happy dude, and I am a happy dude.
1,000% happy. Charles Cross has been a total hit without question, and it's awesome to have your left tackle spot locked up for the next 9-10 years. That's super, super cool.
I mean, don't jinx it. We thought we had the right tackle spot locked up. So
we do.
All right.
I have positive thoughts. Abe's going to be back when he feels right. And then this coming off season, they're going to do some sort of medical magic, and then he'll be, better for the long haul.
I hope he is able to work his way back this year. I mean, I'm still holding out hope.
I think so. Yeah, I think he feels better. It gets back on the field this year at some point and feels good enough to power through. And then this offseason, again, they'll do Kobe knee magic on him or whatever it is that they do, and it'll be fine.
Give him my knee. I'll donate it. We need a right tackle.
You'll donate your middle-aged knee to replace an old knee?
It's got to be an upgrade, right?
Yeah, I'd say so. My knees, I've never torn a CL. I'm knocking on wood right now, people. I've never torn a CL. My knees are pretty good. I might consider a knee swap.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of have a wiggy hip, so I could probably do with a knee maybe on that same side, just kind of have bum joints on one side. I'll make that sacrifice for Abe.
Sure, and then you could have a real terrifying limp that scares all the children. That would be cool.
Just in time for next Halloween.
I was going to say, you could have used it last night, right?
Could have, but oh well.
Yeah.
Let's get to the second half of the show. As we get into the second half of the show, this is usually the time where we talk about our rivals. I feel like we covered the San Francisco 49ers a bunch, considering their recent trade. Again, they lose, which we could continue to celebrate that. The Rams got mollywomped by the Cowboys. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. I watched a fair amount of that game too, and it was really difficult for me to be excited every time the Cowboys scored. And then I'd have to remember, no, they're playing the Rams. And so this is great. I hate them both a ton.
I was okay because it was CeeDee Lamb, my Sooner having a good day against the Rams. So I could cheer him on.
There you go. So I can see how you could see it that way.
Yeah. And also I don't have a hard time cheering against the Rams ever.
No, it wasn't so much the cheering against the Rams that was the hard part. It was the cheering for the Cowboys part that made it difficult.
I guess the more curious thing I had after watching this weekend slate of games was how did you feel about Will Levis getting the win against the Falcons? Like, you don't like the Falcons, and Will Levis is a quarterback that you didn't really care for in terms of the offseason. Mm-hmm. But there he was. Yep. He kind of tore it up. By tore it up, I mean he just threw it deep to Hopkins and let D-Hop take care of the rest.
I mean, Titans do it the whole time. That's why they started with Tannehill, ran Malik Willis out there a bunch, and then have now settled on Levis. It was so obvious to them in practice and everything that he was going to have a 3-touchdown breakout performance in his first game. I remember Ryan Leaf having a couple real nice games right out the box as well. I'm not saying he's Ryan Leaf personality-wise or any of that stuff, but he does put mayo in coffee. Remember that. And eats bananas whole. Don't forget that either. And yeah, he definitely pulled from the Kyler Murray catfish D-Hop's down there somewhere playbook and just hucked it up there. I think that's going to be closer to a one-off than what his career will look like heading forward.
All right. Well, we'll have to see. I had to get your I was curious watching that game if you had any thoughts on him. So
no, I mean, he still is a robo QB. He's jacked up and looks huge. That guy's just never succeeded in the NFL before. He just hasn't. So, I mean, if he can do it, he'd be the first, and good for him. I for his sake, I hope it works out.
Yeah. Other than the Rams getting slaughtered, you also had their quarterback going down, Matt Stafford. Well, I mean, he went out with a thumb injury. It sounds like he's kind of iffy.
Yeah, it didn't look good. I mean, the thumb went, right into a ear hole of a helmet, basically, just right into the side of it. And then he, on the pseudo Philly special that they scored on late in the game, garbage time touchdown, he reached out with the ball at the goal line and seemed to jam it again. So not surprised to see that Matthew Stafford is once again struggling with health issues. And, I mean, again, not rooting for the guy to get injured. Hell of a dude. That's just the reality of his career.
A super tough player because he's been diagnosed with a UCL sprain and it's on his throwing hand and he's still not ruled out.
Right. Yeah. You can't question Matt Stafford's toughness. That's for sure. Just, whether or not he can stay healthy. I think that's a fair thing to wonder.
Well, this show continues to stay healthy. Thank you to our members of the flock. They went to getintheflock.com. They're helping to support the show. Sometimes you throw in some numbers that are meaningful to you. Sometimes you throw out just numbers that are meaningful to us. Our executive producers are obviously meaningful to us because we give them shout outs at the beginning of this segment every single time. DCH, Becca Christensen, Brian Shaw, JC Schilling, and Jake Burdine. Thanks to each and every one of you.
Heck yeah, man. Appreciate you guys more than you know. We heard from JC on the live reaction show, and that was all the way from Germany. So shout out to him.
Staying up all the way from Germany and joining us for the postgame show. That was fun.
That's right. It's cool to see the numbers go up with all you little flockers too. It almost feels like, Brandon, the value of putting out 5 shows a week, actually is value for people. And they feel like that they should do their part to donate back if they can, or like and subscribe, or however it is that you find that value that you can give back. We'd appreciate it. Cause I mean, 5 shows a week, is that a lot or a little, Brandon? Is that a lot of shows?
It's significantly more than when we started by 5 times.
Yes. Yeah. So 5 times the nonsense, that should be 5 times the value for you guys, I would think.
Brian Shaw delivering the value. Our executive producer coming in with a $100 donation with the tag #1 executive producer.
Ooh, Brian's peeing all over the entire executive producer situation here. I like this. I like this friendly competition. I don't know that I'd want to pick that fight with Becca, though. DCH, that'd be a draw. I think either him and I could take each other. Like, it feels about even.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'd want to tangle with Becca like that. Like, Brian's
throwing
he's got
it down.
some cojones. Yeah.
This feels like a fight I don't want to take sides on.
Well, nobody likes it when mommy and daddy fights.
We got Greg Levine coming in at $25 a month via getintheflock.com. Greg says, how's it going, Brandon and Adam? I'm super stoked to be here and in the Flock family. My son joined in last October, and after a year of him constantly reminding me that I was a freeloader and he wasn't, I am finally jumping on board. I'm stoked to be here, and I'm hoping I can bring a boost to the Hawker this week to push us over the top against the Cleveland Frowns. Thank you for all you do, and go Hawks. And yes, that came in from Greg ahead of the Browns game, and obviously boosted the Hawkra.
It surely did. You and your son are crushing it. Awesome having both you guys, man. Appreciate it. And it sounds like your son may have learned a little bit of guilt tripping from you growing up, and put it to use. And I like it.
Giving it right back. Thanks to Stephen Kirkpatrick coming in with the $24.20 score donation.
Oh, absolutely, Stephen. Super consistent with that, too. I mean, week in, week out, Stephen's been really generous that way. Really do appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Every single win coming in with the score of the victory. So, one of these days when the Seahawks win 526-16, that might be the day it starts to slow down for Steven.
I don't know. Let's hope not.
It's a challenge that I'm issuing to both our Seahawks to score more than 500 points, and to Steven to be able to keep up with it.
Yeah, that'd be a tough financial day for Steven, I think. And I don't even know.
But also an amazing day, because as a fan, could you imagine scoring that many points in a game?
No, definitely not. No, not with this bum at quarterback that we have.
It also would feel like a record of some sort.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Before we get into our Pick'em League, we've got an email from our Pick'em League overlord, Evie. Dear underlings. Apologies for my lack of communication. It has been the end of term here, and I have had lots of tests to prepare for. Pick'em League maths must have helped, though, as I smashed my maths test and got 59 out of 60 and can now relax with a week off school. Damn. My dad wishes he had the same success rate in the Pick'em League, though. This week he is angry at some stupid horseshoes, the Blackbirds, some cats who won when they shouldn't, and of course, the catfishing donkeys. He really doesn't like them. I have to report that one of you broke the rules again this week and picked against your Seahawks. But we won, so your pick doesn't get changed, and you just have to live with being a bad person. Oh, and if you do it again, you know what happens. Thank you for being my underlings. Go Hawks, not the donkeys. From Evie.
Look, man, whoever that was, they got lucky that the Seahawks won there, because you do not want to incur the wrath of the overlord there. That's for sure. How surprising was it that Patrick Mahomes lost to the Broncos?
I think all the surprises. Is there anybody who picked the Broncos in that game?
I think Perna did. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
Let's see. We got Pick'em League standings for this week. Show me your largent TDs with 15 picks correct, getting the win. And I would have to imagine that one pick, if I were to go in there, it would be that the Chiefs, he had the Chiefs over the Broncos.
Yep, that feels right. And one of the better team names out there. No doubt about it. I really enjoy that one.
It's a good one. Looking at the top of the Pick'em League standing, Andrew Rasband in at 82, along with DK's Poop Cart, Great Rolls of Fire, Woolen with My Homies, like that team name, and then just outside one back. So we've got a lot of people tied up here at the midpoint of the season. B-Wags to Riches, Holy Catfish, Lock, Hawk, S Fantastico, and where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, competitive year in the pick'ems. This has been fun. I wish I could compete it as well, but I'll keep just making my picks like I do every week and sort of compete.
Let's hear your picks this week as on Thursday Night Football, Tennessee Titans, Will Levis going on the road against that Pittsburgh Steelers defense.
Levis throws 3 picks instead of 3 touchdowns, and nobody knows what to make of it. I'm going Steelers here, even if it's Trubisky, which it sounds like it probably will be.
Yeah, it does sound like it might be. Miami at the Kansas City Chiefs. This is one of the more fun games on the slate.
That one's spicy.
Yeah.
There's no way the Chiefs go back-to-back losses here. They stem the tide, going Chiefs.
Yeah. At home.
Plus, this is my dad being the Chiefs fan, his best friend growing up and still one of his best friends today, Tony, is a big Dolphins fan. So there's going to be a lot of crap talk going back and forth there. I'll go Chiefs. I'm going to be loyal to my family. You know,
there you go. That feels
Tony's family to me.
You hate the Dolphins anyway, so this feels natural.
Oh yeah, anything against the Dolphins feels very natural.
Cleveland, can they bounce back against the Arizona Cardinals?
I don't know, man. Is it going to be Kyler or is it going to be who else do they have there? Is it going to be Tune?
Yeah, Clayton Tune. It could be. It's not going to be Josh Dobbs now with the Vikings.
Yeah, that makes me a little sad. I feel like Josh Dobbs acquitted himself very well in that situation. And I don't know, maybe this will be better for his deal going to the Vikings, in fact, though. So maybe I don't feel bad for him.
I mean, he has a shot to make the playoffs now, which he didn't in Arizona.
Yeah. He's going to look a lot better once Justin Jefferson gets back. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Cleveland in this game.
Okay. I didn't even tell you it was at Cleveland, but I don't think that matters.
No.
New Orleans at home against the Chicago Bears.
Black toilet bowl. Is it Bagnetti or whatever his name is still? Or is Fields back? Bayesian, Bagnet, whatever his name is.
They got Fields down as questionable with his thumb.
I guess they traded for Montez Sweat too. That was weird that the Bears were a buyer.
Yeah.
I don't quite get that one, but maybe they just like the value. I don't know. I'll go New Orleans.
Okay. 97% going with the Saints. So you struggle with that longer than most people.
Well, shoot, I'll make that my risk pick then, because that's one where the Bears could win that game and I wouldn't be shocked.
All right, I'll switch it over to the Bears. LA Rams at Green Bay.
LA Rams at Green Bay. Wow.
Jordan Love's struggling. Packers fans.
Yeah, man. Has not looked good.
No.
I could be dead wrong about Jordan Love. He could be legit bad. The Packers are bad as a whole. I'll go with the Rams, even if it is backup QB time for them. It was the Ripine out there.
Yeah. And it's not even a risk pick to go with the Packers on that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's just because backup quarterback with the Rams. I don't know. They're not great. They just got smashed by the Cowboys.
They still have Aaron Donald. And Aaron Donald, putting pressure on somebody like Jordan Love, that usually doesn't spell good things.
Minnesota at Atlanta.
Oh, they're going Heineke. I'm going Atlanta.
Yeah, 80%, 79% going with Atlanta.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, you didn't even need to pick a risk pick this week because Seattle's 9% to Baltimore's 91.
What?
How wild is that?
Unbelievable.
The disrespect.
That is unbelievable. I'd say this is a 45-55 game.
And keep in mind, people who are listening, these percentages aren't from just people in our league. The percentages come from the entire CBS Sports network of people picking games through this Pick'em League.
Which is
when I say 9, don't take that as your reason to go ahead and pick Baltimore because that's forbidden. No.
Right.
We band together and we make sure that no matter what team we're playing, no matter how bad our team might be, we better not be one of these 0% teams ever, because we have enough listeners in our Pick'em League to be at least be. I feel bad that this is at 9% because we should at least be double digits with our audience.
Yeah. Well, they're about to get the Seahawks podcast bounce here. It'll be up to at least 12%. But this game's like if you're objectively looking at this with Baltimore at home, this is like a 55-45 kind of game. I just, in terms of percentages, I'm stunned that it is that high.
I'd go 67-33.
You just wanted to be fancier at math. What do you think you are, Evie, who gets 59 out of 60 on her maths test, which is super stupid impressive. That was amazing, Evie. We're very excited for you.
Evie couldn't even get 100%. It probably was a question that was impossible.
Exactly. They expect somebody to be Matt Damon to figure it out or something.
Houston at home against the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Houston's struggling a little bit. I can't believe they lost to the Panthers. That was a bad beat.
Tampa's not that great of a team. Yeah, they're okay.
I'm going with Tampa.
All right. Washington at New England. This is the coin flip game of the week.
What? They just gutted their defense.
Yeah. I guess people still think that New England's that bad. I'd go Patriots here, easy.
Yeah, Patriots for sure.
Mac Jones doesn't have to. I know he has a bad offensive line, but now the Commanders have no pass rush, so he should have some time to throw.
You would think.
Indianapolis at Carolina.
Indy.
Dallas at Philly.
It's another spicy game. Philly.
Also a risk pick for Dallas. Only 17% going Cowboys.
No kidding. I don't think that's that lopsided at all.
No, I would go 68% Philly, 32% Dallas.
Oh, okay. So you like Philly 1% more than you like Baltimore this week.
Yeah, that feels right.
Okay. All right. Very good. No, I think the biggest hesitation with picking Dallas at all there is just Dak in a big game like that. Philly.
Vegas fires their head coach, and yet they are still 77% favorites over the New York Giants, who have not fired their coach.
What? I guess. I mean, the Giants traded some dudes away too, but yeah, the Vegas Raiders. But then you often get that interim bounce,
It's possible.
Okay, I don't know. I'm gonna go Giants here. Look, do you think McDaniels is ever a head coach again, or that was the last ride?
To get fired mid-season like that, it is not a good look. And in addition to just not being good in Denver, I wouldn't hire him.
No. And from what you hear, like the cultures behind the scenes are all bad.
Right.
Like nobody's happy.
Like you still couldn't figure it. Well, so, and even between that, he had the Colts job that he decided to turn down essentially after they hired him. Right. Yeah, he's not, right. He's done being a head coach.
Very good. I kind of figured. I just didn't know if I was out on a limb on that one. But yeah, Colts are feeling good about that one, right? Because that's when they ended up with Steichen.
Man, so many good games this week. You got the one that I mentioned, Miami KC. You've got Baltimore Seattle, and you've got Sunday Night Football, Buffalo at Cincy.
Man, go out and get your popcorn ready on Saturday, boys and girls. Get the fridge filled up. You don't want to have to leave the house on Sunday. Those are good games, man. Buffalo.
This is the rematch of the game that had to be called, right? Because of Hamlin?
Yes.
Chargers at the New York Jets on Monday night. So after all that, we get Chargers Jets.
Jets.
33% going Jets.
Hey, well, 33% of the people know that the Chargers find a way to lose primetime games on the regular. Like, that is just the way they do it.
I don't really care for the afternoon slate of games. You only get 3 games in the afternoon, and it's Indy, Carolina, Dallas, Philly, Giants, Raiders.
Have you ever in your life gotten a good explanation as to why they have so many early games, a couple afternoon games, and then what? Why?
It doesn't make any sense. So Kansas City I guess Kansas City isn't at home because that's the London game. So you have KC, Miami. You have to get up early. Another good reason why the Mountain Time Zone is perfect, because 7:30. It's not super early, and you can even get up late and miss the first little bit. and it's not going to hurt you at all.
No, but 7:30 is far too early to get up for football. No, thank you. No, I'm good.
It's a little early, but so yeah, and then you have the Seahawks game. I guess you watch Philly Dallas in the afternoon, or that's when you get your garage time in because you had 2 good games to start out, and then you clean the garage during Dallas Philly because you can listen to it. You don't have to be watching. Just kind of get the scores of the other games. That's how you do it.
I gotcha. So when you say clean the garage, does that mean go out in the garage and smoke like a bowl or something? Since this is episode 420,
Sure.
like, see, I just try to seek that in towards him.
Use whatever euphemism you want for clean the garage.
I've heard people call them safety meetings, things like that. But yeah, I just figured, I just wanted to check. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sounds like what guys in the sawmill would call it, right?
Oh, no, nobody does that at the sawmill. No. This is when I was doing photography things years and years and years ago.
Oh, okay.
No, I can't imagine being screwed up and going and doing wheel grinds, dude. Jared and I have talked about that a few times. Like, that'd be terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. No, thank you.
Got to do mushrooms and then go to work in the sawmill.
Oh, yeah, man. No, thank you. They look like a horror movie on the inside, dude. Like,
yeah, I know.
Do.
That would be. Could you imagine?
You do know now, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I took you to that was a little one. That was just a baby mill.
And it was still scary.
Yeah.
Getting into the email. We got Hugh, the father of the Pick'em League overlord, coming in, saying, how good was that? A throwback comeback win with Bobo. Geno combo. Yes, there were a couple of oh-nos, but we got there and we're on top of the division. We have to accept that while Geno is a very good quarterback, he isn't elite. But then, how many elite quarterbacks are there in the league? Maybe 2? He is going to make mistakes just like every other quarterback. Is Drew better? I trust Pete to make the decision. He sees them every day in practice. No, you have to think one is better just because he's on the backup, Hugh. You don't understand how this works psychologically in some cases. Yeah. Hugh continues, I think this is a prime example of the old adage in sport of sometimes the less you play, the better you get. Drew can't make mistakes on the bench, but Geno can on the field. With the clocks going back, it meant I could catch my first live reaction show and still be vaguely human for work in the morning. Very much enjoyed it. Someone asked the question while you were on of why is Trey Lance trending? I looked for amusement, and if you ever wanted proof that Niners fans were dropped on their heads a lot as children, it was them saying they shouldn't have traded them and that he was better than Purdy. So I suppose it can be worse than people saying bench Geno. It could be people saying, bring back Trey Lance. Keep up the good work and go Hawks from Hugh.
Hey, go Hawks, Hugh. Yeah, man, Hugh doesn't suffer from the grass being greener on the other side of the fence. Like he likes the grass that he has, enjoys the grass, and wants to keep his grass. So I appreciate that. I think Trey Lance was also trending a bit there because of the Cousins injury. And so the idea that he's potentially a dude that the Vikings could trade for, possibly. Yeah, I don't know. They ended up going with Dobbs, which is, I don't know. Is that better or worse than trading for Trey? I think it's probably better.
It's better than Trey because you have a dude who has started football games more than Trey.
It's true. And by all accounts, is a hell of a dude. And so is Trey, really, too. So
I just don't know if, as the Vikings, you get anything more out of what is Dobbs going to do for you. The other thing about that is that there aren't teams with backup quarterbacks who are in playoff potential scenarios that are going to be willing to give up their backup quarterback.
Definitely not. If somebody called you right now as John Schneider and asked you, hey, man, what's it going to take to get Drew out of there?
It would take a lot.
It'd take a lot. Yeah. Be like a 1 and a 3 right now. It'd probably take about that. Like, no, I'm not chancing the idea that you got to go with, the lefty from Carolina from the preseason. Gosh, what was his name again? I can't think of it.
Yeah, that dude.
Holton Ahlers.
Holton Ahlers. There you got it. I don't even think he's on the practice squad anymore.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Are we Ahlers-less?
We might be Ahlers list.
Oh, no.
No, I don't see him on our depth chart.
Uh-oh.
I know. And see, what are the Vikings doing? They traded for Josh Dobbs when they could have had Holton Ahlers for nothing.
That's honestly true. I mean, Ahlers wasn't bad. Like he could be a high level backup in the league. And that's kind of where, I mean, Dobbs, I think at this point, you got to say, is good enough to be a low level starter.
Isn't there some dude who could come out of retirement to play for the Vikings? Like another quarterback who used to quarterback for them?
So the corpse of Matt Ryan or Phillip Rivers? That's what I heard.
Who's the dude that was the Rams quarterback but then went to the Vikings?
Bradford?
No, the other one. Case Keenum. Isn't Case Keenum still around?
Oh, I'm sure he is somewhere, but he might be enjoying his life.
Oh, shoot. Case Keenum's he's with Houston. See, how would Houston not trade their backup? Like, that makes a ton of sense. They're not going anywhere. They don't need Case Keenum on the team.
Do you think the Vikings want Case Keenum? I guess he did take him. I mean, he was the Minneapolis Miracle guy, right?
Yeah.
He was the trigger man on that play.
Uh-huh.
If I'm a Vikings fan, I probably would be banging the table for Keenum. Big whiff.
The other weird thing is they have Sean Mannion on their team right now.
Who?
The other former backup Rams quarterback.
Right. Yeah. He was a Oregon State Beaver, right? And isn't a quarterback in the NFL. Shouldn't be.
We had Sean Mannion even on our team, so you can't who that guy.
No, I did who that guy because he's just not good at football. I'm sure he's a fine human and he can do lots of other cool things.
Speaking of cool things to do, Chris and Dixon, California, you guys should go to the Dallas game. We have a group of 6 guys going, and we are looking for 2 more to fill out our second foursome. Golf, barbecue, beers, and witnessing a dominant Seahawks victory in throwback uniforms. How could you say no? Please tell Adam this trip is being financed by the Barnhart Grinder family fortune. After years of profiting off his anger, sweat, and frustration, the least I could do is buy the man a beer. Thanks for all the great content. Keep up the good work. Representing the Bay Area. Go Hawks, from Chris.
Well, hey, what up, Chris? Like, I've been getting talked into this, that's for sure. I mean, got some golf cooked into that. Brandon needs a revenge golf game after I whooped his ass at Top Golf. I don't care that he had COVID. I don't care. And
that was not my Jordan COVID game. I know I could do better next time.
I know your short game is better than what we had going on that day. I know it is. Yeah, just the idea that Chris called out the Barnhart Grinder. Like, he actually knows what it's called. Like, that's impressive too. So starting to think it.
Oh, is that a thing?
That's what the big ass tool that we use, the big barrel. Yeah, that whole setup, that's a Barnhart Grinder. That's what it is.
All right.
Very obscure. Yeah.
What do you say we get on to some do better and better at life?
All right. My do better this week is for Sports Illustrated, Jeff Smith, and Dak Prescott all together. I'm reading this article. It's entitled, Jerry Jones's comments on Cowboys versus Eagles left Dak Prescott in disbelief. So Jerry Jones was asked after their last game against the Rams about their upcoming game against the Eagles. And, he said, let's soak this one up. I don't want to do anything to poke the bear. That's what Jerry Jones said.
All right.
Now, I'm not a Jerry Jones fan. I don't come to his defense all that often. Like, the plastic surgery looks weird. Jerry World is a weird deal. Like, that's all fine. I'll see it firsthand, it sounds like, if we're going to Dallas. But so that's what he says. And then they ask Dak Prescott about this comment, and his eyebrows apparently raised when he said this. And he looked at Jerry Jones and said, I don't believe what you just said. And everybody is up in arms here at Sports Illustrated about this. You should have more confidence about your team. You should have more swagger, because then Dak Prescott comes out and says, in regards to this, let me see if I can get this right. He decided to take on the role of the outspoken and confident leader in the way that drove home the level of confidence the Cowboys have heading into the matchup. This is Prescott's quote. And tell me that this is somehow better. Pour honey on me. I always say that. If you see me and a bear in a fight, pour honey on me. That was That was him like talking some sort of smack towards the Eagles or something. Like, number one, that would do nothing except for make you a bloody sticky mess against a bear. That's for sure. And number two, why are we pissed at Jerry Jones for doing exactly what we say owners, players, coaches should do? How many times does somebody come out and say something that you're like, oh, that's bulletin board material. Can't be saying that crap. Blah, blah, blah. Jerry Jones says, don't poke the bear. And he gets a whole article of crap and some weird comment out of his quarterback. Sports Illustrated and Dak Prescott, do better.
Pour some honey on me. Like, why wouldn't you just talk smack rather than come up with some stupid saying about bears and making yourself appealing to bears?
Pour some honey on me. That's what I always say. If you see me in a fight with a bear, pour some honey on me. Is he like confused with that old Poison song? Like, or is it Poison or Guns N' Roses? Pour some sugar on me. Like, in that
is
rock, so
I think it's Def Leppard that's pour some sugar on me.
There you go. Yeah, very butt rocky. But yeah, no, you pour some honey on me. And they get mad at Jerry Jones for like doing the smart thing, not stirring the pot. Dumb.
Also reminds me that I watched Cocaine Bear this past week. Good stuff.
Oh yeah, I read the true story about that. Not quite as climactic, unfortunately.
My do better this week is for another reporter, but this one, Adam Shine at NFL.com. And he has an article about overreaction versus reality, because there's people saying A.J. Brown for MVP, people saying that the Jaguars now are the best team in the AFC. And there's also people saying how in trouble the San Francisco 49ers are. And Adam Shine's response is, hell no, overreaction. Everyone needs to chill. Mr. Shine, that is not the reaction that we need to be giving, or really even trying to give to 49ers fans. No, we want them to overreact. We want them to freak out. This is a disaster for the Niners, going 3 straight losses. Do you know how many Super Bowl teams have lost 3 straight games in a row and lost a game to Kirk Cousins in the season and gone on to win the Super Bowl? None of them. That's why 49ers fans should be freaking out. And for Adam Shine telling 49ers fans not to overreact. And also, he still doesn't believe the Seahawks are going to win the NFC West. Do better.
Man, yeah, Adam Shine is stepping out of bounds here. Exactly. We covet chaos and panic in 49er land. And we covet being in first place as well, leading the NFC West that we have no shot to win. So just want to make sure that Mr. Shine knew that, since he's doing a disservice to the name Adam.
Yeah, it's really disappointing. On to Better at Life.
All right. My Better at Life than Skip Bayless is for Jody Allen and the Seahawks ownership group. And this was some news that came out like a week or two ago, but a lot of people have talked about the idea that, the Seahawks and the Blazers are supposed to be sold since Paul Allen's death and blah, 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 blah. And everybody acts like it's always tomorrow. Like, this has to happen tomorrow. Like, the Seahawks are going to be sold. We're going to be screwed, all that stuff. Well, at least through 2025, we don't have to worry about that, because if they were to sell before then, 10% of the sale has to go to the state of Washington, and 10% of a catfish load is a catfish load. And I don't think that they're going to do that. So the Seahawks are definitely going to be Jody Allen owned and keep on this same trajectory for the next couple of years. I like that stability. And for that, Jody Allen and the Seahawks ownership group, better at life than Skip Bayless.
It's just enough time to where all the former players can start banding together and building up an ownership group then to take over the team once it's sold. Like, that needs to happen. You get Marshawn in there as a part owner. You get Sherman in there now that he's got the broadcast money coming in. Cam, I'm sure he saved a bunch of money. Like, just get all these guys together and they can buy the team off Jody Allen. And yeah, she benefits, or they benefit from not having to pay the state a bunch of money, that 10%, because I guess that's how they wrote it out when they decided to sell the team and keep them in Seattle. I don't know. I think it has to do with building the stadium and that sort of thing, but
that sort of thing. Yeah,
Billionaires don't like to give up millions and millions of dollars when they do things, as it turns out.
It's funny. It's funny. I've heard from multiple sources and things like that. Like, there's 1,000 ways that they can go about just like not selling the team if they don't want to. Like, there's 1,000 loopholes. So yeah, I feel like it's a little bit of too much ado about very little.
But then that doesn't make for good news stories, does it?
That's true. That's true. You know, my other do better this week, Brandon, was damn near every single news outlet in all of the interwebs on Apple News. I don't know how many freaking articles I read this morning where the title of it was like new smoking gun and climate change or some crap like that. Right. And then it was a picture of like a road salter, like a plow truck that was salting the roads.
Uh-huh.
Right. And, takes them 11 freaking paragraphs to get to the point that like salting the roads is one of the big ones with all the runoff and the salt and whatever. Doesn't matter. 11 paragraphs to get to the point. There are 5 different stories I went through, Brandon, where it was 10 paragraphs or more before they even started talking about the main point of the story. How has none of these people heard of the inverted pyramid? Golly.
Yeah. We get to the inverted pyramid on the show. I'm getting to it with my Better at Life. And my Better at Life this week is going to John Wolford, the former backup quarterback for the Rams. We have a theme here where we've been talking about former Rams quarterbacks. And the fun thing is that Diana Rossini pointed out that when Matt Stafford went down, the Rams, they thought that they could get John Wolford off of the Bucs practice squad. But you know what happened? Wolford said, no, thanks. Prefer to stay in Tampa Bay with the Bucs. He signs to the regular squad. Even though they're 3 quarterbacks deep, he's not leaving Tampa Bay. He doesn't want to go with the Rams. For John Wolford sticking it to the Rams, he is better at life than Skip Bayless.
So as much crap as people talk about the city of Tampa, you hear a lot of like derogatory jokes about that.
Sure.
Wolford looked at it and it was like, dude, Tampa is so much better than LA. He didn't want to go back to LA.
Yeah, well, he didn't want to have to sit through meetings with his former head coach anymore.
Yeah, with Grover from Sesame Street.
Yeah, you don't want to have to listen to that.
Like, that's who Sean McVay sounds like to me.
Grover McVay.
How many articles will come out in the next 2 months here as the Rams continue to lose about McVay jumping to the booth again? Like, what's your over under?
How many articles, or just like the probability of it?
Okay, we go probability of it. That makes a little more sense.
This is the time. 70% chance he bounces after the season. He came back for one more year with Matt Stafford. Stafford, he decides to hang it up after the injuries again get to him this year. And now that he's had his new baby, congratulations. He needs to put on more Grover puppet shows for his baby at home. He'll have more time to do that when he's out of the coaching spotlight and into the TV spotlight.
I am certainly looking forward to the day where Sean McVay is on TV and not on the sideline and spending time with his wife and his kids outside of LA.
And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.